Viva Chile, viva Chile, a Chile quiero, chileno yo soy.
Okay, welcome back to Red Hot Chile. We're continuing our discussion today with newcomer Luke Crowley. I got that right? Okay. And because, you know, it's important, you know, that a lot of times we have on the show people that have been here 3-4 years or they're already permanent residents, they've gone through the program, but once in a while, we like to get recent arrivals. We like to get people that have been here a few months, had a chance to snoop around a little bit and see some things. And Luke provides you some interesting insights from that vantage point. So I'm glad you joined us again here today. Tell me a little bit about your experience with Spanish, what you knew before you came here, what you know now, what you've been able to pick up, or how hard you think it's going to be. Because my blog's already very clear on my opinion about this, and I think I've been without, well, I've been correct about, I think, about the 3-year process it takes. But your wife also speaks Spanish from Puerto Rico. I've listened to her speak, and she has a good Puerto Rican accent and certainly speaks the language. Tell me about your experience with Spanish. It's a big deal for people. They'll be very interested to hear what you have to say.
Well, my experience with Spanish goes kind of way back. I started it in going classes. I've always liked Spanish language and Spanish culture. I took it in college, but like everyone knows, if you don't use it, you lose it. So I would go through periods of time where I'd be working with Spanish people. My Spanish would start to improve, then the job would be over, and then it would start to evaporate. So on the way down here, I would be focused on Spanish at certain times, doing Duolingo, Pimsleur. Practicing with my wife is not always easy. And to be honest with you, I use her as a crutch, unfortunately. And she's like my unpaid interpreter many times. So just the other day, actually, she kind of got me back. We were going there to renew our visa. The lady comes out and she calls my name, and then I kind of look at her like, well, you're coming with me, right? And she's like, no, go in. And then I went in, and then it was just like another reminder that, and she was like basically breaking my chops, right? Mm-hmm. She was gonna come in after a minute, but it was a reminder to me, like, you really gotta hit the Spanish hard, and you gotta go out of your way to go talk to people that really want to help you learn, and it has to be focused. That's what I find, like, and basically what works for me is an hour a day. But you have to really be strict, because what happens is you'll miss a day, and then it turns into 2, and then it turns into, you know, everybody who's used Duolingo, you start to see your strength bars like go down to nothing. You know what I'm talking about, and then you know you probably waited a little too long.
Si tú entiendes exactamente lo que estoy diciéndote ahora, levanta la mano derecha, por favor. That was for the YouTube viewers. Because yes, we're on YouTube today, by the way. Yeah, the producer, Joe, isn't sick. Hooray! It's great. So now we're on YouTube for the day. He's in the peanut gallery listening. You didn't understand what I just asked you, did you?
I understood a lot of it, but the speed was a little much. If you broke that down a little slower, I'd understand all of it.
Yeah. Si tú me entiendes perfectamente, levanta la mano derecha.
Yeah, I need a little more time. I need a little more time.
That's it. What I said is, if you understand what I'm saying perfectly, then please raise your right hand.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So you caught me on that one.
No, it's just that I have this perspective about Spanish and people that try to learn stuff through the programs now, whether it's sort of Rosetta Stone or Pimsleur. Pimsleur has these arrogant things it says on the internet, be fluent in 10 days or some ridiculous nonsense. And I criticize that because the problem we have is people get here and then they realize how hard it is to learn Spanish, and they get frustrated and they want to leave. And they don't want to put in the time. I tell people, you got to dig the foxhole. There's nothing hard. I have 5 college degrees. One of them was a PhD. It was very hard from George Mason University. And learning Spanish was harder than doing a dissertation, field exams, and a preliminary exams. I'm telling you, folks, it's a very difficult thing to do when you are 33 years old and show up in the country. And you might be a little bit older than that, or about that same age, roughly.
I'm 42.
Yeah, okay. You look younger than that. I guess you're bald. That kind of gives it away. Maybe I thought you look a little younger because of the balding. I say that again for the benefit of YouTubers. The rest of the folks aren't going to be able to see that, obviously. But still, you're going to have a tough row to hoe when you come here. You've got to be prepared. Not everybody's going to be married to a Puerto Rican wife who's going to be able to be a crutch, right? So what are you planning to do now that you're here? Because you're planning. Tell me if you're planning to stay first of all, and then what are you going to do to learn Spanish?
Well, I am planning to stay another month at least, and then we're going to go travel up Dominican. Basically, I'm going to be in Spanish countries probably most of my life going forward. I really love Chile, but this year I dedicated to finding places I like to live, and then staying there for a little while, and then seeing if it would be like a serious option. So this year was about really learning Spanish and finding areas that we want to live, and also attending Exosphere, which is the entrepreneurial boot camp. As far as learning Spanish goes, I 100% agree with you. I find it like where, okay, I'm making progress, and then all of a sudden someone talks to me, and my mind literally just freezes up. And that's the kind of difference when you're listening to some like Pimsleur or Duolingo, where you kind of cheat, and then you go out and you speak with a native speaker, and they hit you rapid fire. I find the Spanish very fast down here. They hit you rapid fire with Spanish, and you basically just like, and then I use like crutches, basically like, you know, no entiendo, habla más despacio, like all these other things, like, you know, speak slowly, please, but it's extremely difficult.
Then they just speak louder, and the worst of it, to really discourage you now, remember, I have a very strong gringo accent, and it's much easier to understand a person with a gringo accent than it is to understand one of these Chileans that use their slang and cut out letters, and I mean, I cut them too, I guess now, but not as bad as they do. And it's fast, and it's a problem. And Chilean Spanish is harder to get than most other Spanishes in the world, I would say. There may be, Argentine might be worse, I don't know, but it's bad. It's a really bad situation. Now, you mentioned Exosphere, so let's switch gears. Tell me, Exosphere is a company from Chile, I believe. Tell us what Exosphere is all about, and maybe give a little plug for that and why you got involved.
Well, Exosphere, I heard about it through a friend of mine called Luke Blackburn online, and then I followed up with him and actually Skyped him while he was in Chile at the first boot camp, which was in Santiago. Then when the new one came around, they were looking for locations, and they thankfully picked Viña del Mar and Reñaca, which is actually a fantastic location, and they have a great building. Basically, it was my belief that it was like a libertarian anarchist kind of like think tank type of thing, and with like kind of entrepreneurial mixed in. I went there and found out basically it was from people all over the world, basically with not libertarian views, basically with entrepreneurial views, which are close enough. And I found they basically work on giving you the mindset and the mental strength to push forward with entrepreneurship, and also to get out of your limiting beliefs. So it's more like, sometimes it borders on therapy, and because you get around and you're talking in a circle and everyone's sharing their experiences. But Exosphere is actually a phenomenal program to come to if you're coming to Chile anyway, and you're interested in entrepreneurship and you want to start a business anywhere. I highly recommend checking out Exosphere.
Very good. That's very interesting information. Now tell folks a bit more too about the weather, because I think that's one of the big selling points about Chile. You lived in New York. You know what it's kind of like to have a little bit of hurricane threat now and then, a little bit of tornado threat. Generally okay, but hot and muggy in the summer, and in the winter it's not as cold as Chicago. But let's face it, it's not Florida either, right? So tell us about what you think about the weather here, even now entering winter, and you know, the humidity and all the other things. Because Reñaca is a bit more humid than most places in a little bit inland in Chile.
Well, on the way down here, I actually was in, I missed one of the worst winters in New York ever, which was like, I got on the plane on January 1st. So coming down here, and I hit Costa Rica first and Panama, which are extremely hot. And then super humid, buggy was Panama. Costa Rica was very nice. But when I arrived in Chile, I was really surprised by how nice the air was in Reñaca and Viña del Mar. It was dry, and it was like sunny every single day. We got here in March 1st, and I was like, telling my wife, you know, every day was sunny with a blue sky for at least the first month, and I'm pretty sure that's how it is most of the warm season.
8 months.
Yeah. So when I first got here, the weather was absolutely incredible. Going into the winter, basically, it reminds me of more kind of the fall, but you don't have the snow, you don't have the rain. It doesn't rain often. So basically, you might have in the Reñaca area, you might have some clouds, you might have some fog once in a while, but it is like night and day as far as the winters go, as far as the harshness. Very easily to deal with.
Very interesting. Now tell us, we just have a couple minutes left in this segment, but tell us, what's your opinion about the way people drive? These are interesting questions people always ask, or the cleanliness of the city, or the way people dress, men or women. Anything you've noticed that just strikes you as being different perhaps than what you're used to in New York?
Well, people drive. I don't drive down here. I've driven this rent-a-car briefly, but driving was, I mean, New York is pretty harsh with the driving. So compared to New York, driving down here was perfectly fine, and I was in kind of more open areas. The unique thing about the bus rides is like they're like an amusement park ride actually. So you get on the buses here, and it actually is like you get a twofer. It's like kind of getting on like a small roller coaster at times because you have big hills, and you take turns kind of with passion, and you kind of have to hold on a little bit. So you know. And when you get on the bus, you know, as soon as the door closes, it doesn't matter if you didn't pay yet. The guy's gonna hit the accelerator.
And you're talking about these little mini buses that go around Viña, but not the big, huge buses in Santiago or the interurban buses. Those are kind of like luxury liners.
Yes. I just want to say, as far as the ranking of the transportation around this country, it is world class in my opinion. The regular long distance buses are actually like absolutely first class as far as I've seen. I mean, super comfortable, super professional, and very cheap. And the small private buses are super cheap. I mean, for 50 cents, you get anywhere around Viña del Mar.
Yeah, and certainly the metro's in very good shape, wouldn't you say, here and there? Well, we're coming to the end of another segment here. This is Overseas Radio Network, the program Red Hot Chili, with your host, Dr. John Coven, interviewing Luke Crowley today, and we'll be back in just a minute.